made it. And last night we started this wonderful message from the Lord. We're hearing from the Lord this message that is, I think that the Lord is telling us that He desires that our life be totally, deeply transformed from a place where we used to be driven by sense of insecurity, sense of fear, sense of wanting to perform for our Lord, for our God, not knowing exactly if He is totally pleased with us. And so last night, Dr. Bush came to us, and he brought the word from the Lord to us, and he said, let us get rid of this thinking of, what is the word? I can't even pronounce it. Linearity? Is that linearity thinking? Okay, linearity thinking is that we have this tendency of thinking that if I had done A and done B, then automatically C is going to happen to me. So if I am faithful to the Lord, I come to church every Sunday, I read my Bible, I do my prayer, I do my TWA, and then the Lord is going to bless me. This is I hope I'm correct. Otherwise, He's going to correct me later on. But I think at the end of the session last night, Dr. Bush left us with this word, this question. And the question is, where are you? Where are you? And the where are you is a question that the Lord has asked all of us, not for the purpose of condemning us, not for the purpose of embarrassing us, but not for the purpose of punishing us. But He asked us this question, where are you? For the purpose of pursuing us. He wants to grab hold of us. And I think at least this is what I got out of last night's message. Right? So we will invite Dr. Bush to come up with us again and share with us. 然后我要尝试的这个翻成中文国语。假如说翻得不对的话，家人 correct me.
Well, thank you for coming back again tonight.
谢谢你们今天晚上再一次回来。
And I see that we didn't scare you all out totally.
没有把你全部吓走啊。
So that's an encouragement that you just came back.
你们回来的话，对我来讲就是一个很好的鼓励。
So thank you so very, very much.
谢谢你们，非常非常谢谢你。
Because I know that you're busy people and that you have a lot of places you could go and a lot of things you could do, but you came here.
知道礼拜六晚上你们都是很忙的，很多事情你们可以做，但是你们决定今天晚上来这里。
So I want to just never take that for granted.
我也晓得，我不应该就把这件事情当作是理所当然的。
When I think of that, and I think of how the people come to church on Sunday morning and other activities throughout the week at the building,
那我想到这里的时候，就想到这个每一个礼拜在教会里面那么多活动，那么多人就这样来参加这些活动。
I'm always reminded that this is a voluntary thing.
我常常就记得就是这个教会的活动都是自愿的。
In other words, you come because you want to.
你们来是因为你们愿意来，
You're not here because you're forced to and somebody made you come,
因为没有人强迫你来。
but you're coming at the invitation of God.
你们来是因为你们听到神给你们的邀请，你们来。
So that's what we want to continue to cultivate tonight.
所以今天我们就要把这个意念继续的来这个阐扬。
So we're going to read a passage of Scripture from Matthew chapter 7.
那今天呢，我们要看一段经文，是从马太福音第7章。
And I think the way we'll do it is that I will read it in English first, and then Pastor John will read it in Mandarin.
So Dr. Bush 我这个念一段英文，然后我念一段中文。
And we will begin with verse 24 to the end of the chapter of chapter 7 of Matthew.
那我们从24节开始，一直到这个结束，这个马太福音
puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock.
雨淋、水冲、风吹，摇撼那房子，房子却不倒塌，因为建基在磐石上。
The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against the house. Yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock.
耶稣讲完了这些话，群众就惊奇的他的教训。
But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. Verse 27. Matthew 7.
I am lost.
Here, John. I will finish the chapter. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. When Jesus had finished saying these things, the crowds were amazed at his teaching, because he taught as one who had authority, and not as their teachers of the law.
这主要是因为我的眼睛不好。Because I can't see.
We just read from the Bible. Whether we can see it or not, it's there, okay? Yeah. This passage of Scripture has meant a great deal to me.
那这一段经文呢，对我来讲是很重要的。
And the reason it has meant a great deal to me is because storms of life will come.
那我觉得为什么这段经文那么重要呢？是因为我知道在人的一生里面一定会有风吹雨打的时候。
And if you haven't had these storms of life yet, you will.
那假如说你到现在还没有经历过风吹雨打的话呢，我可以担保你以后会有。
I don't say that as a threat,
我这样子讲话不是威胁你们，
but it's a reality.
因为我知道这个是事实。
And so tonight we're going to talk about how do we handle these storms of life.
那今天呢，想跟你们分享的就是，当风吹雨打在我们生命里发生的时候，我们怎么样来处理它，
So that when they come, we have the foundation to stand and not let the house blow down.
所以当风吹起来的时候，雨打起来的时候呢，我们怎么样的让我们的房子有一个很好的根基，就不会倒塌。
We live in a day and age when people are building their houses on sand.
那今天我们在现在的这个时代里面呢，我们知道很多人造房子其实是造在这个沙上面。
And as a result of that, winds come and the storms come and the house collapses.
那这个结果呢，就是当这个有这个暴风雨发生的时候呢，这些房子就承受不住，就倒塌。
But there is an interesting statement that is made at the very end of the teaching that Jesus has just done in telling this story.
那我们看到耶稣基督在这里，给这些人的这些教训呢，最后有一句话是很有意思的。
And the statement comes out of the crowd that has heard him speak.
那这句话呢，是讲到这些群众听到这耶稣的教训以后，
They're acknowledging something that they've never heard before.
那就是他们觉得好像耶稣讲的话是他们从来没有听过的，
And it's the authority with which Jesus speaks.
主要是因为他们发现耶稣所教导的是有权柄的。
That phrase always troubled me.
那我讲到这里的时候呢，每一次我读到这里，我心里面都有一点点疑惑，
Because it's repeated numbers of times throughout the teachings of Jesus.
因为我们看这个耶稣里面对耶稣的教导的过程里面，很多时候都有相同的这句话出现，
He taught them as one who had authority and not as their teachers of the
就好
law.
像别的地方也讲说，耶稣教导他们好像是一个有权柄的人，不像其他的文士或者是律法师。
Now, what was the authority that Jesus had that was so special?
所以耶稣他有的这个权柄，到底是从哪里来的权柄？是那么奇妙。
We know
晓得他是来自于神，
We know that he was the Lord of heaven.
我们晓得他是我们的主，
We know that he was very God of very God.
我们也晓得他自己就是神，
We know that he was the second person of the Trinity.
我们晓得他是三位一体中的第二位体。
And we could go on and on about the uniqueness of Jesus Christ.
所以，我们今天可以讲这个耶稣的奇妙的、奇特的地方。
But there's something else going on here that is very special.
但是，另外除了这个以外呢，还有另外的事情，使得耶稣所给我们的教导是那么的奇特。
What was that unique authority that Jesus had that the crowd gravitated to and they said, we have never heard anything like this?
所以说，我们要知道，这耶稣他这个权柄到底是怎么样的，这个奇特，以致吸引了人，吸引了群众要来听他。
The contrast was between the way the teachers of the law taught them and the way Jesus taught.
那这个跟这个耶稣教导的这个对比呢，就是那些文士、那些法利赛人他们的教导。
In other words, Jesus was who he said he was.
那最重要的就是耶稣，当他教导讲到他自己的时候呢，他真的是以他自己以身作则来教导。
And the teachers of the law were teaching biblical truth.
那这些其他的文士、这些法利赛人，他们教导这个律法的时候呢，就是从一本书里面的讲出来。
But they weren't practicers of the truth.
虽然他们是教导真理，但是他们自己却做不出这些真理来。
And that's what Jesus is saying in this little story.
所以这个耶稣就借着这个小小的故事、这个比喻来教导我们。
He says if you want to be able to withstand the storms and the rains and the winds in life, you're going to have to be a practicer of the truth.
那假如说你今天你想要把你的房子建造的能够承受这些风吹雨打的话呢，那你自己就必须是在这个所学到的真理里面实践出来。
Because that's who Jesus was.
因为耶稣基督他就是这样子，
Everything that he taught them, he did himself.
因为所有耶稣基督教导给别人的，他自己都做得到。
So we want to ask a question.
所以今天要问你们一个问题：
What does a transformational person look like and what does a transformational person do?
那就是当我们讲到一个被改变的人，他的这个人的这个样子是怎么样的？这被改变的人，他们做出来的事情是怎么样的？
Now, in order to get at this question, I want to go at it through the back door.
那回答这个问题的时候呢，我想是从另外一个后面的这个后门的角度来回答。
And a little bit later in my talk, I'll tell you why I'm going through the back door.
然后等到快结束的时候，我再告诉你们为什么我是用这样子的方法来回答这个问题。
I am a reader.
我很喜欢看书，
I love to read biographies and autobiographies.
我很喜欢看人家的这个自传或者是这个传记，讲到有关人的。
Numbers of biographies and autobiographies that I've read are of men and women who have learned to walk with God and that walked close with God in His presence and into His heart.
那我读到的，就是看到的很多这个传记和这个自传的这些书呢，就是讲到有些很多这个在神面前学习怎么样跟神一起行走，跟神有这个关系的这些人，这些弟兄或是姐妹，他们的生命。
And as I read through these lives of people who walked with God, I begin to see patterns develop.
那当我看这些自传的时候，这些传记的时候，看到他们的生命的时候呢，慢慢就看见他们的生命里面都有一些共同点。
And as we examine the pages of their lives, we begin to see that there are things that happen that they all were doing, even though they might have expressed it a little differently.
那当我们仔细看他们的生命的时候呢，就发现虽然有时候他们做出来的方法或者是方式不同，但是呢，他们都做一些相似的事情。
But basically, they were doing the same thing.
那就是基本上他们做的事情都是一样的。
But it came out a little differently in their unique lives and in their context and setting.
那当然就是因为他们的生命的这环境的不同，所以说他这个做出来的这个样式是不同。
In fact, I find these contexts that they worked out this walking with God in began to help me to see that there was something unique about their context, but there's also something unique about my context.
那当我开始仔细的看他们的生活的时候 发现他们的生活环境里面有一些奇特的地方，就好像我自己的生命，我自己的生活环境也有奇特的地方。
But one thing we learn is that generally speaking, there's a pattern that is similar in all of the contexts.
但是我们学到的就是说，在每一个不同的生命里面，都有相似的这个共同点。
So if we can learn what these patterns and similarities are, we don't have to reinvent and start from nothing.
所以，假如说我们今天能够学到这些共同点，生命里面的共同点的话呢，那我们就不需要每一次就要好像是制造一些新的这个过程或者经历。
For instance, some of them started back here, but because I can learn from them, I can start a little further upstream.
或者是有些人他们的生活，他们开始在神面前的学习，也许是在这里，但是我学到的话呢，我可以稍微的比他们早一些，或者是更先进一些开始学习。
One of the great resources that God has given to us that is available to all of us is the people who have gone before us.
所以我们晓得，今天我们这个属灵的这个沉船里面，神给我们一个很重要的资源，这些资源就是在我们以先经历过的这些属灵的伟人，他们的生活，他们的经历。
In my telephone call to my wife this morning, I said something like this.
今天早上我打电话给我妻子的时候，我跟她这样子讲。
I am so thankful for Avi and Lillian Poon.
那我是对这个教会的潘牧师跟潘师母，我是非常感激他们。
Because you are the shadow and the reflection of their 25, 30 years of ministry.
因为你们就是潘牧师、潘师母，他们20几年、30几年，在这个教会里面，这个辛苦耕耘所这个结出来的果子。
And so we have this resource of people, of the lives of people that walk with God that we can learn from and begin to find the patterns of how they did it.
所以我们今天从这个潘牧师、潘师母的身上，我们可以看到他们这以前跟神之间的关系，他们所学到的，让我们今天也可以就是从他们的经验里面学习。
But there's another great resource that we have.
那除这个以外呢，还有一个很重要的资源，
And it's the primary resource that we have.
这就是这个所谓的这个主要的资源，
And it's called the Bible.
这就是圣经。
So one of the things that happened to me very early in my ministry was that God said, I want you to meditate and reflect on Scripture.
所以我记得很早我开始这个侍奉的时候呢，神就给我一个很清晰的一个呼召，他就是要我常常的这个读圣经，并且思念思考圣经上的话语。
And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on,
等一下我有时间我再跟你们分享。
because there's a very special story that's connected with it.
因为有一个很重要的，在我生命里面很重要的这个事情，就是跟这个
writing of the Pentateuch, there's a pattern that he organizes around that helps us understand how to live and walk in the life of God.
那这个摩西，当他把这个圣经就前面5卷书写起来的时候呢，他给我们一个很重要的看得到的每一个人的生命的一个循环，一个样式。
For instance, in Genesis,
举例就是这个创世纪，
which the very word means beginnings.
这个创世纪这个字的意思就是开始。
It's how God uniquely shapes us for His glory and for His work in the world.
就这卷书呢，就是告诉我们怎么样的神在开始的时候，世界开始的时候，怎么样来塑造每一个人。
And so you have those 5 or 6 stories of famous men and women who learned to walk with God.
然后就看到这个故事里面，这一卷书里面有大概5、6个很重要的人物，他们的生命怎么样跟神行走的。
And then in Exodus,
然后就是出埃及记，
you have deliverance from bondage and slavery.
然后就看到这个出埃及记就讲到说我们怎么样从这个奴隶这个之中得到释放，得到解脱。
But God hears their cry of pain and their cry for deliverance.
这边也讲到这个神怎么样听到这些人民他们的这个痛苦的呼求，然后决定来拯救他们。
And the first time not maybe the first time, but when it began to dawn on me what was happening there, God begins by starting with a baby.
那很有意思的，就让我看到，就是这个神要来拯救这个犹太人的时候呢，他开始是用一个婴儿来开始。
And this baby is a very special baby that is preserved for a special role of leadership in leading the people of Israel out of bondage and slavery.
可以看到这个婴儿他的生命是怎么样的，很特别的被这个保护保存下来，以致这个婴儿将来就是成为一个带领犹太人离开这个奴隶、离开这个捆锁的领袖。
But it took a mama and a papa that saw it.
那开始的时候呢，需要的是一位母亲跟一位父亲，他们的。
And so God led them as to how to prepare and preserve the life of Moses, even though his life was under threat of death.
所以我们就看到神怎么样的这个带领这一对夫妻，怎么样的，虽然他们的生命有危险，但是怎么样的把他们的婴儿、这孩子的生命保存下来。
And if you are through the Bible reader, you get to Leviticus and you say, why did I start this?
然后你继续看的话呢，你看圣经的话，你就到了利未记，你就开始怀疑说，我为什么要看利未记？
Because you wonder what in the world is going on here.
因为在这边看到的，我觉得跟我有什么关系？
Because it seems like such a book of, detail and all the other kind of things.
在这边看到的，因为这边讲的都是一些很细节、很繁的一些这些记事的这些事情。
But I want you to remember the context of what's going on.
但是我要让你知道的，就是说这些条文所被颁发的整个大环境，我要你注意。
This is the schoolroom of holiness.
因为这里讲到的是讲到说，我们今天进到一个圣洁的场所。
God says to Moses, be holy for I am holy.
因为神跟摩西这样讲说，你们要洁净，因为我是圣洁的。
And so they didn't have a clue as to what holiness was because they lived in bondage and slavery all their life.
但是这些犹太人，他们一生都是生活在奴隶中间，他们根本不晓得圣洁是什么意
For 437 years, all they knew was slavery.
思。430年下来，他们知道的就是怎样做个奴隶。
They knew nothing about holiness.
他们对于这个圣洁一点都不晓得。
And so Moses begins to set up a pattern of how they can begin to learn about this holiness of God.
然后摩西呢就开始借着这个利未记里的这个条文，然后怎么样的把这个圣洁的这个环境建造在这个犹太人中间。
And then you get to Numbers.
然后你就到民数记，
And all it seems like is a book of Numbers.
好像民数记就是讲到这个数目是民数，
But something is basic going on there.
但是里面有更基本的需要学到的真理。
God is establishing systemic structures.
神在这边帮助这个犹太人在这边建 要学习怎么样把你们的生活组织起来，这样子更。
And that's what Numbers is all about.
所以民数记就是这样子。
Learning to organize the systemic structures of life so that you can begin to organize your life the way God is working.
所以，实际上，我们整个人怎么样的人有系统的组织整理我们的生命，以致我们可以跟随我们的主耶稣。
And the last book of Moses is the book of Deuteronomy.
然后最后一本这个摩西五经最后一卷书呢，就是生命记。
There are 5 sermons in Deuteronomy.
这生命记里面总共包含5篇这个讲道信息。
All of them have as their major theme the word remember.
那每一次呢，这个信息的中心呢，就是要记住这句
word remember.
就是这个字记住。
What does he mean when he says remember?
所以当这个摩西写的时候说你们要记住是什么意思？
He's saying reflect on where you have been.
的意思就是说你们要回忆到你们以前的生活。
Reflect on where you are in relationship with God.
然后你们要记住你们现在跟神之间的关系是怎么样，
And reflect on where you are going.
然后要记住你将来要往哪里去走。
Now, I know that's a little bit heavy, and that's okay.
那我晓得我讲的东西都蛮沉重的，但是没有关系，
Because you will find out a little bit later on another piece of my story that helps you to understand how all this came to happen with me.
那我希望就是等一下我跟你们分享我自己生命的一些发生的一些故事的时候，你就会晓得为什么这些经文、这些圣经对我来讲是很重要的。
So it's very important that we read the Bible as you are doing in what is explained to me by Pastor Alan. As you begin to just read the Bible and soak in it and let it begin to become part of your very life.
那就是好像我们在教会里面大家所一起参与的，就是这个倾覆时刻的时候，我们读经的时候呢，你们读经的时候是怎么样的，让你们真的是沉浸在这个神的话语里面，让这个神的话语成为你们生命的一部分。
So what does a transformational person look like?
所以问题又回到一个被改变的人的这个人，他的样子是怎么样？
Well, he's on a pathway.
主要他是一个走在一条路上，一条旅途上面的人。
And we get on a pathway and begin to move in a new and formational direction.
那他走上这条路就是使他的生命能够慢慢的被塑造，重新的塑造。
And it is an intentional and purposeful pathway.
那这条路呢，走的这条路呢，是一个有目的的，而且是这个蓄意的要走的这条路。
You see, we have thought of salvation as an event.
因为我们常常想到这个救赎是好像是生命中发生的一件事情。
Salvation is a series of events that God begins to explain to us who He is.
但是我们要晓得的是，这个救赎不只是一件事情，而是一连串的事情发生，让神教导我们这个生命的目的是什么。
It is a journey into the heart of God.
这个救赎是我们怎么样走入这个神的内心的一条旅途。
So Gene Peterson describes it this way.
所以 Jim Peterson 这位作者他就这样子讲。
It is an event followed by a long obedience in the same direction.
他说，这个救恩就好像是一件事情，这件事情是这个
It's a long obedience in the same direction.
是一个朝相同的方向走，而且是不断的使我们要顺服的这一件事情。
Now, what does this pathway look like?
所以这条路是怎么样的？
There on the screen, you will see a pathway.
所以你假如说你看到这荧幕上面的话，这是一条路，一条这个路。
This pathway is not inspired by me or by God.
那这条路当然不是这个神默示给我的，
It is based on as best I can discern, from a biblical church history standpoint, that is generally the pathway that men and women have chosen to begin this transformational process.
那这条路呢，其实是让我根据我这个自己读经，我自己祷告，然后觉得这个神 在这个过去的历史、教会的历史里面，神怎么样用不同的使这些不同的人所经历的这条路，让他们的这个生命真的是被改变、被塑造成神的形象。
Maybe they all didn't have the same language that we have up there.
也许他们所经历的不像我这上面写的这些字，
But it was a pathway that led to deep change in the very core of their being.
但是这条路呢，是让这每一个人走在这条路上面，他的生命里面深深的从内心里面有这个改变。
I found that this is a pathway to freedom.
对我来讲，这条路是带我走到这完全得到释放，
It's really an Exodus pathway.
是一条出埃及的路。
As God begins to move us in directions that begin to move us, or to begin to help us to understand what this transformational kingdom life is all about.
那当这个我们走在这条路上面，神开始带领我们走这条路的时候，让我们真的就开始学习到这个一个人的生命的改造应该是怎么样。
Now, I call it the cruciformed pathway.
那对我来讲呢，这条路的这个形状呢，是像一个十字架的交叉的路。
We read a lot of books today about what it means to be a leader, not only in the church, but in the business world.
那今天呢，不管你是在教会，或者是你在这个你的做工的工作的这个公司里面，我们常常讲到的就是怎么样来塑造这些领袖。
Last night, we referred to the fact that biblical leadership is very different than CEO leadership.
那我昨天晚上跟你们分享的时候，我讲说，圣经里面给我们这个属灵领袖的这个形象呢，跟这个世俗给我们的属灵，不是这个领袖的形象是完全是不一样的。
Are there similarities? Yes.
中间有相同的地方吗？是有相同的地方。
But biblical leadership is shaped by the cross of Jesus Christ.
但是呢，我们要晓得，这个属灵的领袖呢，圣经里面告诉我们的，这个属灵的领袖呢，是借着这个耶稣基督的十字架，使我们形成的这个属灵的形象。
And the term cruciform captures that for me.
然后这个我们说这个 cruciform 就是这个十字交叉这个样子。
It is a daily taking up the cross so that my redeemed and spirit-controlled true self can emerge.
这意思也就是说，我们每一天都把这个十字架背在我们身上，让我们自己的生命里面真的这个神的这个耶稣的形象就能够显出来。
Now, this is slow work.
对我来讲，这是一个很慢的一个过程。
You don't get this one Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock.
你不会就是说一天星期四下午3点钟你突然就得到，
It's a bunch of Thursday afternoons.
而是很多星期四下午的时间花在上面。
Cruciformed people or leadership is not about my doing.
这个背十字架做领袖的这个人，他所讲究的不是我今天做了什么事情，
It is about my being.
而是讲究说我今天是怎么样的人。
We are human beings, not human doings.
因为我们都是人，是这个人，而不是这个做。Be doing, OK。
We are not human doings, but we are human beings.
我们
Okay?
是做人，我们不是做事。
And the difference in that is this.
这两个之间的不同是在哪里？
Nothing will change in our churches until Jesus shows up.
因为我们晓得这个，除非耶稣今天出现了，这个教会不会改变。
Until my ministry has been crucified.
除非我的工作是完全的被钉在十字架死去，
And my ministry has been smashed to pieces.
除非是我今天所做的所有的侍奉在教会里面是
And
完全的被破碎掉，
And my ministry has been killed.
那完全是被杀死。
This is no my ministry, it is all Jesus' ministry.
就不再是我的工作，而是耶稣的工作。
条这个旅途就是讲究的就是这个。
This is a cyclical, and it's over and over again. We walk this pathway.
这条路呢，就好像是一个循环，不断的在那边走。
God does anoint with great power at times. God does anoint with great power at times.
神有时候实在是会给我们一些特别能力的恩膏。
And the next piece of what I want to say, I want you to listen to very carefully.
但是我下面要讲的，我要你仔细的听。
But pain and wilderness experiences is the pilgrim's progress of our disciple-making process.
这就是生命里面的痛苦，跟我们生命里面好像走在旷野里面的那种经验，其实是这个做基督门徒的最重要的支柱。
The older writers that you go back to and read, they understood this.
那你今天看到这个教会历史下面来的许许多多的这些前面的这些圣者，他们真正的深深的了解。
That is why John Bunyan could write Pilgrim's Progress from Bedford Jail.
所以这个 Pilgrim's Progress 中文叫什么？天国天路历程。所以说John Bunyan他才能够在一个监牢的这个监狱里面写这本书《天路历程》。
Because he understood the deep work of God that needed to be done, that made Jesus, that helped, that brought in the kingdom, and Jesus showed up.
因为他深深的了解这耶稣基督，当他出现的时候，他能够带给我们的，带领他的这个工作。
Even in the suffering of a Bedford jail.
甚至于在这个监牢里面的这个受苦的当中
，where he was imprisoned for preaching the gospel.
他因为在外面这个传讲福音，被下到监牢里面。
V. Raymond Edmond, the former president of Wheaton College.
这位这个 Wheaton College 的以前的这个校长
said that one of the disciplines and rhythms that he had in life was that he read Pilgrim's Progress every December.
那就是他说，在我生命里面，一个我每一年都要做的，就是每一年的12月，他就读这个《天路历程》这个故事读一遍。
So you notice at the bottom of that pathway up there.
所以，假如说你看的话，下面是这个图面的这个下面一部分。
That there are 4 pillars.
这边有四个支柱。
These are foundational pillars.
这个是这个奠基的、根基的支柱。
And these foundational pillars are what are going to hold you up when the storms come.
这个4个支柱呢，就是让你能够承受的当这个风吹雨打、这个暴风雨来到你生命里面的时候。
And if we get those down, they will help to withstand the storms of life, so that we can come out victorious and joyful and cheerful.
假如说我们能够把这4根支柱好好的在我们生命里面打下根基的话，在我们这个生命里面发生的这暴风雨呢，都能够承受得住。
Those 4 pillars are retreating.
这4个支柱是什么呢？第一个是
can stay there, but you won't have many storms.
那假如你今天没有这个雄心壮志，说我要往上走的话呢，那你愿意只是就是待在下面的话呢，也许你的生命里面就不会有那么多的风暴。
So the higher you go in leadership and the more responsibility God gives you, there will be more storms.
那当你就是走得越高的时候，越在神的国度里面，你侍奉他越多，来带领更多的人的时候呢，这个所受到的这个暴风雨呢就越多越大。
So I had to establish some rhythms of foundation pillars in my life.
所以呢，我晓得我自己呢，必须在我这个生命里面呢，能够要扎下一些很重要的根基。
Now, in doing this, I found that I had to say no to some things and yes to some other things.
那我晓得就是这样子做的，扎根基的话呢，那我必须有些事情我必须拒绝去做，有些东西呢我可以接受去做。
For instance, a daily time for space with God on a general level.
那好像就是说，每一天都花一段时间跟神有这个交通，亲密的交通。
This didn't involve just reading the Bible,
那这个交通呢，不只是就是单单的看圣经而已。
even though that was a major piece of it.
虽然看圣经是其中一个很重要的一部分，
But it involved being silent and listening to what God has to say.
除了看圣经以外呢，也同时呢，也花时间在那边安静的等候神跟我讲话。
In other words, giving Him space.
意思也就是说，允许这个神有他工作的空间。
Now, that was something that I've been doing to some extent for a long time.
那我晓得这事情呢，其实我已经有很长的一段时间我是这样子做的。
But I didn't understand what it meant to be silent before Him.
但是呢，我以前不了解什么是在神面前要安静。
And so as I learned to be silent before Him, at the beginning I didn't know what to do because nothing happens.
那当我觉得我知道我刚开始学习在神面前安静的时候呢，我真的不知道手足无措，因为我就什么事情都没有，就说好像什么事情都没有发生。
But then God whispered in my ear,
但是慢慢的呢，我就听到神微小的声音。
Do you think I'm pleased with your silence?
他这样说：“你觉得我很喜欢你这样子在我面前安静吗？
And the fact that you were just willing to sit here and listen for me to speak.
就好像你就是愿意坐在这里，等候我跟你讲话。”
And I had to answer, yes.
我听到这个，我的回答就是跟神说：“是的。”
You see, I don't have to be talkative in God's presence.
你像我们来到神的面前的时候，我不需要跟神讲很多话，
I can let Him have the space to speak to me.
我给神空间，让他跟我讲话。
And then there were weekly rhythms that I had to develop.
那同样呢，这每一周呢，我有一些要做的事情。
And we'll talk a little bit more about that later.
等一下我再跟你们分享。
But then there were monthly rhythms
那也有每一个月要做的一些事情，
and quarterly rhythms
然后每3个月要做的事情，
and annual rhythms.
每一年要做的事情。
Now, I can't say to you that that's what you are and how you are to organize or structure your life.
当然，我今天不能跟你这样讲说，你也要跟我一样这样子组织你自己的生活的活动，
Because you have a different context than I do.
因为你生活的环境跟我生活的环境不一样。
And the context that you have has to be worked out and structured according to the way that God wants to work in your life.
那你因为你的生活的环境，你就必须要了解神在你的生活环境里面怎么样，他要来塑造你的生命。
Now you'll notice on the screen there that there is a big iceberg.
那假如说你看的话呢，你会发现这个图面上面有一个很大的这个冰山。
And what you can see on top of the water is very small compared to what is underneath.
然后你会看到这个冰山呢，这个浮在水面上面的是一个很小的一部分，一大部分这个冰山呢是在水面下面。
And the questions, the insecurity, the wounds and hurts of life, the confusion about leadership and emotional disconnect and incompetence and power issues and incarnational poverty that are listed underneath the waterline and much more.
那假如说你看得清楚的话呢，你
begin to face those kind of issues myself.
那神开始在我们生命里面工作的时候呢，他会把这些藏在我们心里面下面的这些忧虑、这些没有安全感，要把它挖出来，让我看到，才能够允许神在我的生命里面工作。
The only way that I know to get at that is by listening to God.
那唯一我能够看到我这内心里面这些黑暗，只有安静在神面前听他跟我讲话的时候。
I had a professor at Fuller Theological Seminary.
在我的神学院里面，我有位教授，
He was the CEO of a major corporation in America.
那他以前是这个美国一家很大的公司的一个总裁，
But he was a very devout and profound Christian.
那他呢是一个非常虔诚、非常有深度的一位基督徒。
His name was Max De Pree.
他的名字叫 Max De Pree，
Maybe you've read some of his books.
也许你看过他写的书。
But he talks about some of these kind of things that are underneath the waterline that none of us were willing to face up to.
那他写的书呢，就讲到这个冰山下面很多内心里面蕴藏的这些人不愿意面对的一些问题。
And there has to be the taking up of the cross of Jesus Christ so that we are cruciformed by him and that Jesus shows up in our ministry.
那这个只有当我们愿意把我们的十字架背起来，耶稣在我们生命里面显现，才能够看到的这些黑暗的地方。
Now Max was a big Dutchman.
那这位教授呢，他是一个荷兰人，
He had a big barrel chest,
他有一个
big man.
身高
And when he would walk into class every day, he would ask this question.
然后每一次他进到这课堂里面的时候，他问我们一个问题，
He said, "Students, pastors, what is current reality?"
他就问我们说：“学生们、牧师们，什么是现在的真实？”
He said, "I'm not talking about the current reality that people can see, the visible things, but the invisible things that people cannot see."
我讲到的现在的真实，不是人家可以看到你的，而是人家看不到藏在你心里面的。
He said, "That is what will destroy you in your leadership life."
这些东西就是将来会在你想要做领袖的生命里面来摧毁、毁灭你的。
Now, being a district superintendent, I've dealt with more than my share of moral failure.
那我以前做这个宣道会的某一区的这个区会长的，那我跟很多牧师之间发现他们的问题。
And it's very painful to pick up the telephone call
那很多时候我接到他们的电话，心里面很难，
and to say, "I need to come see you."
因为在电话的对面，他跟我讲说，我现在必须来看你。
And to sit down with a husband and wife, knowing that one has participated in moral failure, is very, very painful.
然后坐下来，一个牧师跟他的师母，然后听到其中有一个在婚姻里面不忠心，有外遇，对我来讲，心里面非常难。
But every time I can say without exception, it is because they've not dealt with the stuff underneath the waterline.
但是我晓得每一次没有例外，他们最终的原因就是这个内心里面水面下藏的这些东西，他们没有对付。
So, what is current reality in your life?
所以今天问你们怎么样的问题？
Not talking about
现
the
在的
visible
现
stuff.
实是什么？不是讲外面人家看得到的，
We're talking about the invisible stuff,
我们是讲人家看不到的，
the stuff that's underneath the waterline,
在水面下面。
that eats away at us like toxicity and poison
这些
and
东西
ultimately
现
destroys
在
us.
在你的生命里面，就好像一些毒品一样的，慢慢的在吃，把你的这个生命给吃掉。
You see, current reality is not where I think I am.
因为当我们讲到现在的事实的时候，不是讲说你觉得你现在在哪里，
It's not where I wish I was.
也不是讲说我希望我在哪里，
It's not where we think others expect us to be.
或者是我觉得人家觉得我应该在哪里。
We cannot begin where we are not.
因为我们不能在一个我们不在的地方开始我们的生命。
We have concentrated on outward appearances.
我们所注重的，以往注重的就是外表。
Why was it that Jesus spoke with such authority?
为什么耶稣来教导的时候，他的教导是充满了权柄？
That the crowds commented and they said, "Never have we heard a man speak with such authority like this."
在旁边的群众听到耶稣的教导的时候，他们说：“我们从来没有听过别人像你这样子的教导。”
Because his life underneath the waterline was everything it was in public.
因为耶稣他的生命，水面下面的跟水面上面的是一致的。
And then Max would go on and ask 2 more questions.
然后我这个神学教授又继续的问我们2个问题，
He was a wonderful questioner,
他很喜欢问的问题，问得很好，
and his questions were always so thought-provoking.
因为每一次这个问题就让我们要深深的思考。
The first question he asked was this:
他第一个问题这样子问：
Am I in or are you in the world for God?
他的问题是：你是不是现在在世界里面参与神的工作，
Or am I in God for the world?
或者是你现在
You see,
在神 ，sorry it takes me a while to get it to 或者你现在是在神里面参与世界的工作。
you see, there's a big difference in the questions.
因为这个问题，这个很难讲。
The difference is this:
那这个之间的不同，
if I'm in the world for God,
我是在这个世界里面为神工作，
I'm going to do great things for God.
那我要为神做很重要的事情，很大的事情。
God is going to be so pleased with me that He's going to make me into celebrity.
那神呢就会很喜悦我的工作，让我变成一个很成功的一个大使命。
He's going to give me the biggest church that there is out there.
他会给我一个这个世界上最大的一个教堂
And
教会。
I'm going to be invited to speak all over the world.
然后呢，世界上所有的人都会邀请我去他们那边这个讲道。
But if we're in God for the world, we respond to His agenda.
那假如说是我们是在神里面
The first
做
question,
世界的事，我做侍奉，那我们跟随的是神他要做的事。
the first question has to do with my agenda.
刚刚第一部分这问题的第一部分主要讲到的是我想要做什么，
The second question has to do with the fulfillment of God's agenda.
那第二个部分呢，主要是讲的是怎么
You
样
know what happens?
能够完成神的工作。
Jesus shows up.
问这个问题的时候呢，耶稣就出现了。
Which makes all the difference in the world.
那耶稣出现的时候呢，一切都不一样。
Now, we're going to finish this message tomorrow morning
那我们明天我们会把这整个这个信息讲
because
完
there's too much to talk about tonight.
今天晚上只是在讲过。
But you will see there that one of the first things that happen is that we begin to move into a state of Sabbath rest.
那我们走在这条路上的时候呢，你会发现，我们发现第一件事情发生在我们生命上中间的，就是我们会进入一个安息日的安息。
I don't know how many pastors I've talked to, but before long they will say something like this. If you ask them, "How are you doing?" "I'm busy."
不晓得有多少的牧师，我跟他跟他这个谈话的时候，问他你最近好吗？他们都说我很忙。
And so we ought to hang a banner over our platforms.
所以说我们需要就是因为在教会里面就是应该这个挂起一个旗子，
We are busy.
我们很忙，
We are a busy church.
我们是一个很忙的教会。
And then before long, if you ask them how they're doing, they will say, "Well, I'm tired."
然后假如说你再继续问这个牧师，你现在怎么样？那他们就接下来就会回答说，我觉得很累，
I'm operating on adrenaline.
我就是完全是靠我自己的力量在那边侍奉，
Fatigue and weariness sets in.
我就觉得我很累，觉得很疲倦，
It usually happens sometime in the mid-40s.
而且意思就是大概到40岁左右的40岁，
And in that particular time, you see our energy begins to run dry.
40岁左右的时候，因为在那一段时间身体的这个精力慢慢的就在里面消耗。
But I ask you, is that what Jesus was saying here, that we are to be a tired church?
那我现在就是说问你们，这个是不是耶稣基督想
our banner over our churches to be this silent banner that we don't hang up?
我们是不是真的希望人家看到我们的教会的时候，就觉得这个教会就是这样子的，很累的一个教会呢？
If you come here to church, we'll make you real tired.
你今天在教会里面侍奉，会让你觉得很累。
What did Jesus say?
那耶稣怎么说呢？
Let me take the time to just read it.
我们就
Matthew chapter 11.
我们就看这个马太福音第11章怎么说。
And we're going to just read it in English, okay?
你们自己看，中文自己看。马太福音11章。
Listen closely to the words and see if you don't pick up something here that I believe he is introducing something that can be a reality for us.
那你听的时候、看的时候，你仔细看，看看里面是不是有一些字，是耶稣这样讲，让我们要了解我们这个属灵的真实的情况是应该是怎么样的。
The words read like this. At that time, Jesus said, I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth.
第25节到30节，
Because you have hidden these things from the wise and learned, and revealed them to little children. Yes, Father, for this was your good pleasure. Now let's stop there.
好，我们看到26节的时候，我先停一下。
You will notice that not everybody gets what Jesus is talking about.
所以你看这段的时候，你会发现，首先第一，不是每一个人都会了解耶稣在讲什么，
Because he's saying something that is counterintuitive to the way they think.
因为耶稣在这边讲的时候，不是这个人平常可以想得到的这种讲法。
And he says, what I'm going to tell you about is revealed to you.
他讲说，我今天要跟你讲的东西是向你显示出来的，
It's hidden, and the wise and learned don't get it.
因为这些东西本来是隐藏的，世上聪明的人是不知道的，
But the little children do.
但是呢，婴孩却知道的。
So he goes on in another passage of Scripture, and he says, if you become like little children, you're going to understand some things that you wouldn't normally understand if you're an adult.
所以在其他的地方，耶稣也这样讲，说，假如说你今天成为一个小孩子的时候呢，你会了解一些东西，这些成年人不会了解。
And so what he is saying is something like this,
所以他这样子，他其实要这样子告诉我们，
that this is my pleasure to reveal this unto you, that you can operate from a different motivation.
这意思就是说，我今天我很希望，我很愿意，我乐意这样子的显示给你，当你能够开始工作的时候，是从一个不同的角度来做，
That you can operate from a different context.
所以说你的工作的角度，你工作的这个环境是跟你以前不一样的。
And so he goes on and says to them,
然后他继续这样讲。
all things have been committed to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal him.
27节，
Go on, okay. Again, that word reveal comes up.
所以这边相同的这个字启示又重新出现一次。
The Father longs to reveal to us the fullness of the Son, Jesus Christ.
这边讲的说，神很愿意把他的儿子主耶稣基督全然的显示启示给我们。
And the fullness and the power of the Son that can only come through the Father as it is revealed to us.
那这个圣子耶稣他所有的这个能力，只有从神那边才能够来的。今天神要把他的能力也全然的启示给我们。
As I began to reflect on that and meditate on that, something began to happen in my soul.
那当我自己看这段经文的时候，自己想这段默想这段经文的时候呢，我的灵魂就开始，
Because I was weary.
因为我那个时候觉得很疲倦，
I was tired.
我很累，
I didn't know what to do because I thought if this is what pastoral life is like, I can't go on.
因为在那个时候，我觉得我真的不知道应该怎么办，因为我假如说这个做牧师就是这样子的话呢，我不愿意再继续做牧师。
And so over a period of time, God began to reveal what he was talking about to me.
然后
says, "Come to me, all you are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest."
他说：“你们凡劳苦担重担，来我这里，我会给你们安息。
Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I'm gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls.
你将我的恶背上，因为我的恶是轻省的，这样你就会得到安息。
For my yoke is easy,
我的
and
恶
my
是轻
burden
省的，
is light."
我的重担是轻省的。”
As that began to worm its way and to bore its way into my very heart, I began to think, if that is what Jesus is saying to us, I don't have it.
那当这些耶稣的这些话慢慢的进到我的心里面的时候，当我想到说原来神的心意竟然是这个样子，我就知道我没有。
Psalm 28 says to wait for the Lord,
诗篇28篇讲说我们要等候耶和华，
to wait patiently for him.
我们要耐心的等候耶和华。
And I began to wait on the Lord
那我就开始等候耶和华，
I didn't understand what he was talking about.
因为在那个时候我真的不晓得。
Oh yes, I'd read the passage numbers of times, maybe thousands of times.
那当然，这些话我以前多少遍在台上信息里面讲，
But it was a verse of scripture that I knew a little bit about intellectually, but I didn't understand imaginatively.
但是这些话我知道，我的头脑可以了解，但是我的心却感受不到。
Abraham Joshua Heschel, who's a Jewish rabbi,
这有一个很出名的这个犹太人的这个老师叫这个 Heschel，
was asked the question, how do I know God?
有一次有一个人问他说：“我怎么能够认识神
And his answer was, start with Sabbath.？”
然后他说：“你从安息日开始，
Because you cannot understand the rest of God until you understand listening to God.
因为他说你除非你从开始从认识这个神的安息，否则你不会了解神。
Because you see, Sabbath reveals the rest of God.
因为安息日让我们借着安息日，我们看
It's
到
about
神的
trust.
是因为这个安息日最基本是一个信。
It's saying that I can let go of the world for at least one day a week and it won't fall to pieces because I'm not there.
因为这个信说，至少一个礼拜一天，我可以把这个世界
And
放
that God
弃，
has
这个世界不会这个因此而消灭。
And that God has everything in control.
神有掌管所有的一切。
Genesis chapter 1, chapter 2.
这个启示录
After God had gotten through creating and doing his work,
创世纪1章、2章是讲到神怎么样的创造整个宇宙，
what does the scripture say?
然后圣经怎么讲？
God said Sabbath time.
圣经说神就设立了安息日，
He said, let's celebrate.
他说在安息日的时候，我们一起来庆祝。
I finished all I need to do in the 6 days.
是6天以内，我把我需要做的一切都做完了，
So therefore it's time to celebrate.
所以现在我们一起来庆祝。
And so he celebrated.
所以他庆祝。
That's part of what Sabbath is about, celebration.
所以安息日其实也是一个庆祝。
I have some Jewish friends.
我有一些朋友是犹太人，
I don't know, in fact, I know that they don't know Jesus,
我知道他们不认识耶稣基督，
but they do practice Sabbath.
但是他们却守安息日。
And so it's a wonderful thing to go into their home on a Friday night
所以对我来讲呢，星期五晚上到他们家其实是一个很好的一个经验。
and the father announces that the queen is coming.
然后这个父亲就说这个皇后来了，
And what he's referring to is it's time for Sabbath.
因为他这边讲的意思就是说，我们在安息日要开始了。
We lay aside all the cares,
我们把我们世上所有的这个忧虑，
we lay aside all the weariness,
我们的所有的这个疲劳，我们都放在一边。
and we say, like happened when they gathered the manna in the wilderness in Exodus chapter 16, John Stumbo, who you had here last year,
这个我们的宣道会的这个主席这个 Stumble，
I was having dinner with him one evening, my wife and I,
那有一天晚上，我太太跟他们一起这个吃晚饭，
and I said, John, when did you learn that you have the heart of a poet?
那我就问他说，这个 John， 你什么时候你觉得你自己有一个这个诗人的心？
He said, when I learned about Sabbath.
那他说，当我真正学习什么是
And
安
if,
息日的时候。
and if you've never heard him read some of his poetry, it is brilliant.
那假如你今天有机会听到这个讲斯坦普他写的这诗的时候，你会觉得写的实在是很美。
I want to close tonight with a piece of this story that comes from my own life.
那今天晚上呢，我就是借着我自己的这个生命的一个故事，
And we will finish this tomorrow morning.
明天早上我就把这个信息结束。
Back in May of 2013,
那在2013年5月的时候，
I began to notice that there was a rash appearing on my body.
那个时候呢，我发现我这个身上呢出这个红块出疹，
It was very painful,
这个疹很痛，
and it was spreading very fast.
在我身上面就是发开了，发得很快。
The whole front of my body was covered with large quarter-like sores.
那我这个整个身体的前面呢，就是有了这个一个这个伤痕。
I had to go to the emergency room.
那我必须马上要去那个急诊，
They didn't want to let me go
他们不让我走，
because they said this is serious.
因为他们说这个是很严重的事情。
Said you probably have some kind of autoimmune disease that we cannot treat.
那你恐怕有一些这个免疫系的这个失调，我们是不知道怎么样来帮助。
We don't know what it is,
我们不晓得是什么，
but we don't know how to treat it.
但是我们也不晓得怎么样来医。
I was to leave for Tampa, Florida the next morning.
那我知道我第二天早上应该要飞到这个美国南部 Tampa Florida。
I said to me I'll tell you a little bit more about this in the morning, but God said to me as I was reflecting on this and trying to interpret it, what God was saying, He's going to teach you something about Sabbath.
那这件事情发生的时候呢，神就教导告诉我一件事情，他说我今天要教你什么是安息。
Because until you learn some of the deeper truths of Sabbath,
直到你能够真的了解这个安息里面内在的意义的时候，
and even doing your work from a context of rest,
那甚至于以后你做事的时候，你是从一个安息的角度来侍奉，
you won't understand what Jesus is saying when He says, "Come to me, all you are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest."
你还是不会了解耶稣当年说你们凡劳苦担重的来到我身上。
So what is the latest thing that I'm trying to learn?
所以对我来讲，
Through this whole experience that's now been going on for 9 months,
所以从那时候到现在总共9个月了，神要教我什么功课？
God said to me just this afternoon,
今天下午神就跟我讲说，
what you are doing tonight is not work.
你今天晚上要来做的不是工作，